the screening of the ministerial nominees submitted by President Bola Tinubu on Monday, and this was a story that was taken from the Thursday newspaper review. So let me start with Engineer Ola. I know you have a lot to say about this ministerial list that was submitted, because I do too. But first, let me hear your view.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have much to say.
Why?
Yes, because the nominees are coming without portfolio.
Okay.
So until when the nominees are cleared by the Senate and portfolios are attached to the names, you'll be able to say, oh, this guy can perform, this guy cannot perform. I don't know what the president has in mind by sending the names without portfolio. Maybe he wants to have the sole decision on who man this particular portfolio. You know, this is the crucial period in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Economic reform, no money to buy petrol, no money to buy food. So what do you do? So we are waiting.
Okay. So Funimi, do you have any contribution?
My own question is, why should the president be the one to pick his nominees, his ministers to work with?
Okay.
Because I feel they will be biased in taking decisions. They will obviously accept every proposal. Pick the ministers to work with him. By then they will be able to checkmate each other. And
no, you see, on that particular idea, you know, in the political party they have hierarchies.
Okay.
And then in Nigeria today, you have a minister that must come from every state of the federation, 36 states. The list we have today is not up to 36. Which means we still have more list of ministers. That is one thing. And again, another thing is that in each state, political party leaders, they will select or nominate a minister.
Okay, so it's
so he will now use his own power. It's the own decision to, oh, I want to attach you because of your pedigree of what you have done, what you are to this particular department.
Okay.
So if you allow Nigerians to choose their ministers in non-Nigerian as it is, there's no way you can be able to please everybody.
Exactly.
Some people will say, oh, this is the wrong person. Until when you put a man to test or task, whether you can say this man can perform or this man cannot perform.
But let's take Wike for example. During his term, things were not moving fine. He was the governor of Rivers State and we have troubles working with him. During his tenure, it was not fun. And he later became the Minister of Education. Still,
nothing happened. Nothing worked
to write up. And I'm still looking. Why would Wike be one of the nominees to still come back to do? Because I see him as a person that only goes to where he can benefit from. He's not seeing things from the perspective of we the citizen to help us, to take us from where we are to another point. But he's just working for himself where he can benefit. That is my own perspective of Wike.
Okay, but you for me, I outrightly believe that Wike has a plan.
Okay.
Because looking at when this whole election and campaign was ongoing,
he left his party
and was supporting Tinubu. So I am not surprised that he is part of the nominees for this ministerial position. So I am not surprised. You know Nigeria now. As far as this, let's leave it there. Okay. We'll go for a quick commercial break and we'll come back. We'll be right back after this.
Okay.
welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. So we're still taking the stories that we have from the Punch newspaper. So the next story that we have here is saying, reduce government borrowing from CBN, World Bank tells Nigeria. The World Bank Group has urged Nigerians to reduce, or Nigerian governments to reduce borrowing from the central bank if we want to reduce the inflationary pressure on the economy. So this basically is telling our government to reduce borrowing. In fact, it's becoming a norm. It's becoming a constant thing that we face every now and then. And then we're not even seeing, well, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm not seeing the essence or the point why they keep borrowing this money, because it is not being put to use and it is not being accountable for. But until there is an accountability of all of this, we may not have a way forward. So, Engineer Ola, do you have something to say?
Well, what I have to say on this is that what you want to do with economic reform in the country is very, very, it's not a, how will I put it, it's not a small task. You have to be consistent. What Nigeria is that when you are doing economic reform, you don't have to be borrowing money. When you borrow money, you become a borrow. So much that will say, when you ask a child to give you biscuit or whatever, he will tell you, borrow, beggy. So Nigeria should not become beggy. When you borrow too much from the bank, you collapse the bank. I could remember when in about 1979, about when Shagari was the president of Nigeria. We were at that time when the colleges outside the country. When you present central bank check, Nigerian central bank check, present the check to banks in abroad, they will tell you represent after 1 month, because the CBN, as at that time, there was no money in the CBN account, that's Nigerian account. We are going to that particular stage again. If you continue borrowing, we borrow lots of money from foreign banks like IMF, and they give us their condition, and that is the main reason why the subsidy is coming to play. When Shagari was when Buhari was the president, the former Minister of Finance, that woman, it was at that period that they said, okay, if you want to advance the economy of Nigeria, you have to start to remove the subsidy. Now we are removing the subsidy. What is the alternative? The populace are crying. The cost of living is very, very high. So what do? So the government has to work on that, which will reduce the way we are taking them from Central Bank of Nigeria.
So we don't collapse it ourselves.
Foreign banks, so that we don't collapse the economy with this borrow.
Okay. So we'll also look at another story still on the Punch newspaper, and this says Nigeria, Russia pledge closer ties. And the story says President Vladimir Putin of Russia on Thursday pledged closer tie with Nigeria and other African countries, assuring leaders in the continent that European country was ready to partner with African states to develop its energy. So this is also a story on the Punch newspaper. So let me start with you. What do you have to say, Ofonimi?
The fact that Putin is coming to Nigeria simply says that maybe other foreign countries are not partnering.
I've given up on them.
So he's looking for another opportunity to look for other countries who could come to make do of what he wants. I don't think he has good intentions for Nigerians, but let's see if it will be positive or negative to us.
Let's be hopeful.
Yes.
Engineer Ola.
Well, you see, when you look back to Nigeria and Russia relationship, started a longer time ago. When Ajakuta still really means was developing, we had Russians working at Ajakuta. Actually, the furnace at Ajakuta today is built by the Russians, and it's not working. Why is it not working? Negotiation is not good at all. When you want to negotiate, I think the high time Nigerians started using technocrats for negotiations. The same thing we had when Nigerian was talking with Germans on assembly platform, Volkswagen of Nigeria. With Russia coming to Nigeria again to do business with us is a very welcome thing. But what about the negotiation? Ajakuta is not functioning till now. Because the furnace, the shaft in the middle of the furnace is bent. And when it's not in equilibrium, it cannot work. So the furnace is not working. Except Nigerians, and Nigerian government is lying to us. Ajakuta is sick. Ajakuta is not working. I may prove wrong, I don't care, but Ajakuta is sick. I don't know when Ajakuta will work. So if you are going to any relationship again with the Russians, of course, many Nigerians were sent abroad to Bulgaria. Yes. They came back, they became teachers. Ajakuta did not absorb them. Many Nigerians went to Ukraine. They came back, they were not absorbed. At that period, I have many friends. They are still teachers today. And Ajakuta still only means they went on Nigerian government scholarship. That is funded from Nigerian government. But they are not
functioning.
They are not functioning today. So we have to be very careful with anything we are doing. Nigeria has to be, to be on one very good point. We want to deal with Russia on this aspect. Let's have a very standard agreement and maintain the agreement. Not that today we sign an agreement, tomorrow Nigerian government will fault the agreement.
Exactly.
How can you bring in Russia to work at Ajakuta and bring the Indians to supervise the Russians?
It's contradicting.
So you have to be very careful on that, because Putin is not a gentleman, and at the same time is not a warmongering man. So we have to be very, very careful on that relationship.
As we were saying behind the scene, that is something that we really, really need to. Nigeria is always in a hurry to sign anything that has to do with foreign countries, and we do not take time to really look at the positive and the negative side, which of it, outshines the other, and we are always in a hurry. And I hope that this time, just like Engineer last said, that they will take their time and make sure that they make right points that would benefit not just the country but the nation at large. So we'll be right back shortly after this break, so we'll see what the other story has to say. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still your morning dew, and this is still your newspaper review. So lastly, we have one more story on the Punch newspaper, and this says subsidy removal. Tinubu begs Nigeria to persevere more. And my younger brother was telling me something this morning, that at this point that we are going to, in fact, the way we are going right now, it will get to a point where we'll have to be doing bicycle. That every Nigerians are advised right now to start doing, to start preparing. Like for me, who do not know how to ride a bicycle, I really do not know what I will do when it gets to that point. But I really pray we don't get to that point. And I will think about it. So, Engineer, over to you.
When you plant maize, it will die, germinate, before it can grow. We are talking about a subsidy removal. That should be an alternative. Okay, in Nigeria, for example, we have natural gas. Compressed natural gas, CNG, is a very good alternative. Because even in Saudi Arabia now, they brought back the subsidy. Because we just came back from COVID-19. And the hardship is there, smiling on everybody's faces. Nobody is laughing again in Nigeria. Anything you say now, somebody will pick up a fight and start fighting with you. So if you are removing subsidy, what is to revamp the economy, of course, there should be an alternative. And thanks to God, we have CNG, compressed natural gas. What is going to happen to that? I learned some people are saying that the government expect the price to 100 naira per liter for CNG. So the government should do something on it and give us subsidy on CNG. Okay, another thing is that, let me compare with India. In India, you have women buses, you have student buses, and you have buses for children. Government attach subsidy to transportation. Saudi Arabia, they give out subsidy. Many countries of the world, they give out So even in America, there's subsidy on transportation.
Yes.
So if you are removing subsidy, you have to give up subsidy from another department. Subsidy on agricultural equipment, that is on food items,
Yeah.
should be taken into consideration. Otherwise, when you remove subsidy, hey, the suffering of Nigerians will continue. It will have no end to it. And I learned that the labor union is planning to go on strike. That will not help Nigeria. We will lose millions of naira. So the government should consider removing subsidy and putting subsidy on natural gas so that it will become affordable for cooking and because so many industries depend on petrol
Exactly.
for their existence. You are only talking about big farms now that cannot service Nigeria alone. What about the small scale industries? It will naturally die. So there should be an alternative subsidy on transportation, agriculture, and then CNG, compressed natural gas, that we can be using instead of petrol.
Exactly. And more on, since the energy is also not encouraging. The power supply is really not encouraging.
Down.
So if that aspect of it has been, encouraging to a point where people wouldn't have to think of buying fuel every now and then, I'm sure that would have really helped a whole lot. So still on our newspaper review, let's look at what Vanguard has to say. This says daylight robbery, Lagos hotspot, now robbers. The deplorable state of road at Doyin Orile Igomo has become a hotspot for traffic robbery. This is so sad that and I won't be surprised, because the point at which we are right now in our nation, it's terrifying, because things are expensive, people can't meet up with their ends meet, people are struggling to eat. So what do you expect them to do? It really calls for security alertment, because at this point there's so much to be done. Engineer Ola.
Well, you see, all those pickpockets, they are there on that particular road. The road is dilapidated. The government should do something on that road.
Yes, the bad road is really not helping.
We have police in Lagos, so I don't want to comment too much on them. They know what to do. They know what to do, and they have to do something on that particular road. Ministry of Works has to do something on the road. Nigerian security, the police particularly, have to do something on the road. Sometimes in the night, and not even in the night, around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, they will come to you, they will attack you, they will knock on your glass, wind down Oga. Sometimes they may trick you and rob you. So government has to do something on that.
Often.
Wow, add to it is that it's not just the road, it's the situation we're finding ourselves here now in Nigeria. Because if people are not having something to eat, they look for other means to survive.
They don't even have something to do.
Now we are talking about the school system is on recess to commence September, and the school fees has skyrocketed because of the way things are going. How do you expect people to survive? So they look for the only means to survive, to rob ourselves. It's not just the road, they're just using the road as an excuse to rob. It's the situation we are finding ourselves here in Nigeria. The government should probably look for a way to assist us Nigerians. The salary is not increasing. Nothing. We are just on a standstill. We need to talk about it.
Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. So still on the Vanguard newspaper, the next story we have here says ministerial list. New ministries may be created, says Bajablamila. Now that's the chief of staff. So we heard that the list has been out and the screening will begin on Monday. So behind the scene, you were saying something about the list. So can I hear your view, Engineer Ola?
Now, you can see that from the list we have about 75% men and 25% women. 4 ex-governors and 17 others. So, well, I cannot say much on the list now until when the screening has been done and portfolio has been attached to the list. That is when we cannot be able to say, Baba Tinubu has done very well, or Baba Tinubu has not done very well. So no comment as at now. You want to, because when you start building a house, until when you finish building the building, and people can say, wow, this house is fantastic.
It's beautiful.
So we won't be able to say anything now. But we pray, and then we hope that this tree will bring about a very good orange.
Thank you so much. So next story says Russia summit. Nigeria missing as Africa agrees nuclear energy as alternative source of power. As alternative source of
I don't know why the Africans are just deceiving themselves. We are talking about Nepal now. Well, Nepal has not done anything.
We're talking about alternative source of energy.
Alternative light, which is solar energy.
Solar energy.
How far have you gone on solar energy? Wind turbine is there. We are not doing anything. Now Nigeria. Now we are talking about solar. We are talking about the nuclear
energy.
Okay.
Anyway, so since the Russia is coming in to also work hand in hand to make sure that this, so let's be hopeful. My own is let's be hopeful and hope that the Russian will make this happen, and then they will not just say it but put it into action, as they have clearly stated is something that will benefit all Africans, in fact as far as the African continent is concerned. So let's be hopeful. That's all I can say.
What do you have to say? As far as Nigeria is involved, we need to be hopeful.
Honestly, so we don't have to say, you know, let's not say much about that. Let's just be hopeful. So the next story, the next story we have is from Tribune newspaper. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back to take the story on Tribune. Thanks for staying tuned. So we're looking at the next story that we have from Tribune newspaper, and the first story here says over 30,000 skilled Nigerians work with expatriates to build refinery complex. That's Dangote refinery complex. You know, they've been talking about refinery, and it's baffling. While the whole Nigeria, my country, do not have a working or a functioning refinery. So, but thank God, Dangote is working on something, and I think the government is also supporting to make sure that this happens. And I hope that this will not just be story as usual. Now that they have partnerships, we have other countries. You know, the story says that we have China, we have Chinese also working, and then we have other people working. So let's just be hopeful. So, Engineer Ola.
Well, skilled Nigerians work with expatriates to build refinery complex.
Why do you have to emphasize on the complex?
Building. What about the machinery, the equipment?
Exactly.
Well, of course, Nigerians are working there. But one thing I want to say is that, like Fashola did when he was the governor of Lagos State, he started this vocational schools. How many Nigerians attended the school? There you go there to learn bricklaying, carpentry, and other kind of work. You know, because most of these people called expatriates, when you are very close or work with them, you realize that most of them are technicians. Especially from Asia. I've worked with them before. We were together on the field, even outside the country. So Nigerians are not far. Nigerians are not behind. It's only the government is not encouraging us by not giving us adequate money. We were together in college then, and then I know our performance then. When I came back to the country, we met them. Some of them where they were working. When they see us, oh, some of them would dodge, just say, well, don't worry. They are not. Most of them are not engineers; they're technicians.
They are not expatriates.
They are not
claimed.
well. Since they are not Nigerian citizens, they are expatriates working in Nigeria. So the government should look into that and make sure that they develop Nigerian manpower.
Exactly.
Our colleges of technologies has to develop Nigerian manpower. We can equate them anywhere in the world. There are Nigerians outside the country who are working as space engineers. Nigerians outside this country who are working in marine field. Nigerians are doing lots of work in America. Nigerians are performing very good in America. But Nigeria will bring in people that are not qualified and call them expatriates. Okay, look at the bridge at Ikeja. You will see only one or two Chinese technicians calling themselves engineers, and Nigerians are the workers doing the job, and they have the credit. So the government should look into that and see that Nigerians are well paid, like their counterparts from outside the country.
So after that, I'll really encourage the government to start accepting what comes from Nigeria and not looking at it, oh, it's Nigerian, it's faulty, it's not good. Let's look at that. We too can do something. We should start building our own refineries. We have what it takes. We have everything at our disposal. But it's just that our governments are not looking inward. They're always looking outward to bring things into Nigeria where we have it here. Okay, look at the man that created his own vehicle. Nigerians government are not appreciating
how much of us
it.
are appreciating
They're not even using it. We should look inward and start appreciating what we have and stop. They are looking inward. They're looking into Nigeria, taking what
the good hands that we have
it over there. But we are not looking at what we have, and we are not appreciating it. It's high time we start looking at our hospitals, our school, and start appreciating the system we have here.
Yeah, and I think that still falls back on mentality. It's just this mentality of anything that has to do with whites. You know, the whites, they so believe and appreciate this skin called white, and they feel like those ones are always good. Meanwhile, we have a lot of Nigerians who are doing way better than they do, but because of this mentality of it's because it's an outside country, they are white, they are coming in, they are flying in, and then we feel like, oh, they are doing way better than we do. So it really calls for attention that we begin to appreciate, you know, like Engineer Ola will always say, be Nigeria and buy Nigeria. So until we begin to be Nigeria and accept Nigeria and buy things that are locally made by us, and then we Nigerians should also do well by making sure that the things we do, when you say it is white, it is white. Not when you say that this thing is working for, is going to work for the TV, and then you find out that this thing is not working for the TV, it's actually working for the camera. Your words, so if your words are not being taken for what it is, then we can't trust you.
No. I believe in that angle. By the time the government start appreciating us, giving us money, subsidies to make us work well, if you don't have what it takes, you do the little you can.
The little you can, you should be sincere with the little that you can. I feel it's just the mentality that we have to change. It's not by waiting for the government to, you know, appreciate us or support us with what we do. The little that we are doing, how sincere and genuine are we with the little that we are doing?
If I don't hype it, will you buy it?
So
hype for me to hype what I have, for you to buy it.
Then hype it in the good way.
Say, oh, this phone is made in Nigeria. The first thing you without touching the phone, you start criticizing the phone. For me to sell this phone to you, I have to tell you that this phone has a TV in it. So that for it, oh yeah, really, I have to wow you. So before I can wow you, I have to lie. But by the time you start appreciating what I have, I don't need to lie. I'll be sincere. I'll tell you, this is what it is. So we need to get to that page before Nigerians can come out clean and say, oh, this is white and this is black. If you go to Aba, we are having, so if you want to buy anything, you will get it there. But we are not patronizing it. So the guys will need to remove the Aba label and put the American label for you to buy it. But it's made there and packaged here in Nigeria.
Even if you go to Cameroon, you will see made in Nigerian goods. They write made in France and bring it back to Nigeria. And these are made in Nigerian
goods. We need to start appreciating what we have.
You write made in France, you buy it and bring it to Nigeria.
Well, I still believe that is because Nigeria are not sincere. A lot of Nigerians are not sincere with what they do. Okay, if I tell you that this phone that I have is made by me, but I can tell you that this is what this phone will do. This phone will give you this camera quality, but don't expect the camera quality to be as iPhone. If I tell you that this phone can do this, let me find it doing exactly that. Over time, people will get to appreciate it. But if you're saying this phone can do this, and at the end of the day, it's not giving me that, tell me how I would be able to recommend the same thing to somebody else. But if you're genuine to me and you're telling me this is what it will, so it's now for me to decide if I want to buy it or not. So first, let's be sincere with ourselves. When we are sincere with ourselves, other people would follow suit. But if we keep saying that, oh, because I want to sell what I'm selling, so because of that, let me hype it. No, we're not doing ourselves. So that at that point, we are not doing ourselves a whole lot of good as Nigerians. So first, let's be sincere with ourselves. Let's appreciate ourselves. Be confident with what you can do. If this is the only thing you can do, if selling is the only thing you can do it genuinely, do it, be consistent with it, and over time people would appreciate. Like this company that is doing the vehicle in Nigeria now, people may not appreciate it now, but over time people will get to accept that this is, and a lot of Nigerians are beginning to appreciate, you know. So with time, if it's consistent with it and it still keeps to doing the right thing, people will definitely have, those who appreciate it will appreciate it. Those who are still waiting for the foreign things, let them go ahead. But I know that a point will come in Nigeria where we would appreciate what is locally made by us. And until we get to that point, we may keep facing this. So on this note, I would want to go for another break. And when we come back, we'll hear what we have in the world of sports. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Yes, thanks for staying tuned. It's still your newspaper review on Morning Dew, and right now we will be looking at what we have in the world of sport. So with me, I have this gentleman who are going to, give us a little highlight on what is happening in the world of sport. So starting from my right, I have Enoch. Welcome on board. And then I have Lawrence, and then I have Enoch. Thank you. So first, let's go through what we have.
Okay. How we plotted Australia's Falcons. The Super Falcons coach Randy Waldrum has revealed that his halftime team talk with his players was all the inspiration they needed to beat the co-host Australia in their second Group B game of the 2023 Women's World Cup at Land Park, Brisbane on Thursday. Punch Sports Extra reports the plucky 9-time African champions stunned Australia 3-2 in an explosive and tension-filled clash in Brisbane. Uchenna Kanu's strike in the first half additional time cancelled out Emily Van Egmont's opener minutes earlier, before Osinachi Owali doubled Nigeria's lead after the break in the 65 minutes. 5-time CAF Women's Player of the Year, Asisat Oshoala, slotted in the third for the Falcons in the 72nd minute, which proved to be the winner, despite Alana Kennedy's extra time goal in the 100 minutes.
Yes, so thank you. So what do you have to say as regards the story so far?
Basically, we have to give it to those girls. They are doing their best, because if you look at their other African counterparts, they've not been really doing so well in the competition. If you look at South Africa, they lost their first game and they drew their second game. But Nigeria, we drew our first game actually. But this win has pushed up to the top of the group in our table. So it is a good one for those girls. It's a good one.
And considering the fact that they went to play in their own country.
Yes,
so
their opponents had home advantage, and they could withstand that and still come into it. I mean, we need to give it to them. They tried.
Okay, so they are doing us proud. So let's be hopeful, right? What do you have to say, please?
Yeah, looking at the first game, I felt, the coach really did a good job. Because I want to believe the coach really assessed the first game they played, where they played draw. And, going into the second game, he reserved, some players which I believe are best. So he really knew when to kill the game. Okay. That's why he now brought in Oshoala. And the moment Oshoala came in, the game changes. And
became more exciting.
She jeered, her counterparts up. Like, okay, colleagues, they were like, okay, you are in now, so we need to kill the game. So the moment she received that ball, for which she scored the winning goal, you can see how she celebrated. She pulled off her clothes and everybody was like, wow. Nigeria, we are best at everything we do. That's the way I see it. So they really killed the game, and I want to, just advise them they should not get overexcited in the win. They should focus on the next game so that they can win. They have 4 points already on top of the table. So the next person to them is also at 4 points. So I believe they should win the next game so that they can really cement their place in the next round of games.
Thank you so much. So next story that we have, do we have another story? Says I'll beat White. Joshua Bost. Do we have any other story?
Anthony Joshua. That's our Nigerian boxer. I mean, he has the tendency to beat White. It's not like White has much to actually give. But then if you look at Joshua's past record, his weight and his punch power, I think he has the advantage to beat White.
Okay, anything else?
Well, of late, Joshua has been training. I don't think he has, engaged in any boxing fight of recent. He has been, I want to believe he's,
he's
keeping
ready.
Himself fit, training every day, training hard, and at the same time, I want to believe he's taking his time to study, his opponent also, because you have to study the opponent, you have to know their weakening point, you have to look out those matches they fought before, how they won the games and how they killed the game. So Joshua should be, there trying to see the weak point of the opponent. I believe he can beat White. White is not too strong like that for Joshua.
Joshua can. He even won the first.
Yes,
the first round.
So he can beat him. He can beat him.
But you should actually be very careful, because somebody that you've beaten before, you won't go and relax. You also want to improve on his skills and also want to win. So you shouldn't feel too relaxed and not what's it called? Rehearse more and practice more.
You're right.
Okay, so let's be hopeful that our Nigerians, just as the female Falcon has set the pace of making us proud, of making it a win-win game. So we are hopeful that Joshua would also make us proud, and then would have a lot to celebrate as far as the football, the game aspect is concerned. So thank you guys for joining me on this scene today. So we'll go on another break, and when we come back, there's a lot more in store for you. So go nowhere. We'll be right back. Yes, viewers, thank you so much for staying tuned with us on the newspaper review, Seal Your Morning Dew. And this is where we call it a wrap. As much as I do not like to say this, but you know, every good thing always have a end. So it's signing out from me. And what do you have to say to your guests?
Well, for me, let's go
Mm.
back to the quote which says we should just have sufficient grace in God and hoping in God for the change that is going to come, that we are anticipating for Nigeria to come quickly before the citizens will all
Give up. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Ofonime,
much.
for joining me. And Engineer Ola, what do you have to say?
No, ma. Be Nigeria.
By
By
Nigeria. So be Nigeria and buy Nigeria. Appreciate what we have, and please, let's be genuine, let's be sincere with whatever we are doing, because by so doing is when people will learn to appreciate you for who you are and accept what you do. So have a blessed and fantastic weekend. Till we'll come your way, same time, same station. It's still your Cactv and your girl Modot, and we sign out. So take care and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.